welcome guys back to the Talkaholics podcast.
Hey.
This is Razia.
And Iman.
And today I just had like a topic top of mind today. Just kind of came out of a conversation that I was like, I need to talk about Iman with this. All right, that was English. And and it was just I had the conversation. It was kind of awkward, and I really wanted to hear what Iman had to say about this because it's about to get tense.
All right,
ready for
I'm
this,
ready.
guys? Okay, so context. I was having a conversation with this fellow lady that I know, and it was kind of out of the blue. She's really nice to me otherwise, blah, 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 all this lovely stuff.
Can we have like vague description of the lady?
She's probably in her mid to late 40s, has kids of her own, married life, you know, and very successful. And she's really nice. Like, she's been nothing but nice to me.
Yeah.
So basically, we're just kind of getting to know each other, and out of the blue, she mentioned something about my scarf, and in particular, she says something really nice, which is like, you know, I like how it frames your face and stuff, blah, blah, but she like starts off the conversation saying like, hey, can you like, do you mind showing me how you tie it? Literally just like that. Like, there was no religious conversation beforehand. It was just, she started that way. And then, and I was like, yeah, sure, like, I guess, but like we would have to go in the washroom and stuff. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she kind of continues and says like, I just really like how it looks on a woman's face. Like, there's like no distractions. It's just your face. It's like, there's something nice and beautiful about it. And I, like, that piqued my interest just because I like normally don't get told that. And like, because she's not Muslim herself. Like, it's very clear she's not. And I don't think she's religious, period. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, you know, I don't really hear that. And she's like, yeah. And she continues, and I'm either like thinking in my head, either she's going to tell me she's interested in Islam, kind of the first thing that comes up in my head. But really where it goes is a different direction. And she's like, yeah, no, I mean, I don't mean it in a cultural or religious sense, but I mean it in terms of fashion.
Oh, God.
And that's kind of when it spun itself, and I was like,
it's like it hits you. You're like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, and then that's when you kind of have a poker face through it a little bit, right? Because you just don't want to.
Because now it turns into a conversation that can either become confrontational, or like what do you do in that situation?
Exactly. And I don't really know this person. I really don't know this person. And another thing on top of this, forgot to mention this. There's another person.
Oh, that makes it worse.
Who is like not in the conversation, but
they were in the space.
Yeah, and like looking at me when this first question kind of came at me first, right? Because kind of people's ears perked up when a religious conversation kind of starts off like that right away. And this person is a guy and he's Muslim.
Oh.
So he fully understood. Like, he was watching my face more than anything to be like, is she gonna go off like this way? You know? Like, is she gonna get mad or whatever? So I was like, I think even more than like, because of that, I knew I was being watched. So I was like, on top of it was even more poker facing. And she continues and she's like, yeah, there's something like, even like, she like meant the face covering after. She's like, even like the thing that covers your face, like there's something, she's like, I just love how it highlights a woman's eyes and there's just something nice about it, blah, blah, blah. Like, she just meant aesthetically that she was considering to wear it. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's like a really different perspective. Like, I've never really heard that before. And she went on and stuff and whatever, and she's like thinking about it. She's like, I don't know how like my husband would react, but like I wonder like how we'd connect, like if he was only able to see my face on a daily basis, blah, blah, blah stuff. And I was like, okay, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Interesting.
It is a lot.
Okay,
it's a lot. And then and that was like at the end of the day, and I was like driving home, like right before this, and I was like thinking the entire time like, what just happened? Like, what was that conversation?
So you just like kind of closed it off there?
Yeah, and then we like went off about something else. Like,
oh, okay.
The thing is, like, I have sympathies with this lady because I think she's really nice, but also I know she has like a sick child herself, so I'm like very sensitive about the fact that like she's like, you know, a good person at the end of the day with a good heart and her own struggles, right? But that conversation kind of threw me off because it was so out of the blue, and a part of me was like, okay, she's like clearly comfortable with having these conversations. I'm glad she doesn't feel afraid to talk to me about my scarf, whatever. But the other part of me is like, why do you have to fetishize it? Like, you know,
yes.
Like
I see your perspective, and I feel like anybody who wears hijab can kind of understand how that can be uncomfortable. And then a lot of times, like when you're put in situations like that where someone asks you a question or when someone approaches something about your being, like whether it be your religiosity, whether it be like your ethnicity, like things that are attributed towards you because of your background.
Yeah.
It's like, do I say something?
Yeah.
Because like I'm the face of like this community for this person, and so I need to make sure that she knows it's not okay.
Right.
Or do I just kind of let it slide because I know she's not coming from a place of hate.
No.
It's more of a place of admiration.
Exactly.
But
yes, it's still
honestly, the way you handled it, I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have kind of like laughed
so
it off and then
touchy.
changed the subject. Because at the root of myself, I'm not a confrontational person. But it's like, I think that like in the West, or like this, like the westernized idea of Islam and of like Muslim women particularly who are hijab, it's like we're either fetishized or we're hate.
I was gonna say,
so it's either you're oppressed and like you don't have any control over your life, and this religion is run by men and you do whatever men tell you to do, and that means you cover your body. Or it's like the fetish. I feel like the fetishization comes from a place of admiration, because it's like, you know,
but it's like
female
misplaced.
power. It's like girl power. You're taking control of your own body. You can do whatever you want, whether you decide to cover up or not. But then it goes like, and you guys are beautiful, blah blah blah. But then it goes a step a little too far, and it's like it's like you know, when people who aren't part of a community want to be part of your community, but you don't have the right. You know what I mean? You're a part of your own community, and it doesn't mean that we can't admire one another, but you cross a line when you decide to start taking things from that community and like applying them to yourselves when you yourself are not part of that community. Like, it's okay to not be a part, or it's okay to not look like you know, just be proud of who you are. Exactly. And stick to within your own community.
It's weird.
And just, you know, send positive vibes and send love and admiration towards other people, but you don't have to copy them. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel like
just because it's like popular at the moment,
or whatever
the case may be.
It's, for me, it's like this idea that you can't admire something from afar. That's a strange thing, because it's like, for example, like we've talked about this before, but I love Japanese culture, but it's not like every day that I'm wearing a kimono. Like, I don't feel like I need to adapt that.
Because like, why would you wear it's because
I know that's weird.
And we've talked about this before about the whole appreciation versus appropriation, and it's like, yes, you admire the Japanese culture, but you don't go out and, you know, wear traditional clothing or whatever just on a daily basis because you admire, like, it's fashionable. Like, you think it, you know what I mean? Like, say, for example, if you were invited to maybe if you had a Japanese friend or whatever, you were invited to an event and they were wearing cultural clothing, you know, you could ask for a piece of cultural clothing just to like, you know, show your participate. But that makes sense. And it's like when people wear bindis and stuff, and it's like, why are you doing that? It's not fashion, it's part of a culture. And so when you start to make cultural or religious aspects fashionable, I feel like you're crossing a line. Like,
absolutely. And I feel
not when I say fashionable, I mean like it can be fashionable within that community. You know what I mean?
But totally. But out of context, it's a different thing.
Exactly. Because then you're just taking away the actual meaning of why we wear certain things. Like with women with hijab, like, it's an actual struggle. We do this for the purpose of our religion.
It's rooted in something other than
it's rooted.
Pretty,
yes, it's rooted in a really deep faith. And it's a lot of women struggle with it, and so when people put it on, like, that's a real show. We're like the face of the religion at the because that's what people see. Like, when they think of Muslims, they think of that
more than Muslim men.
Exactly. So see, like, we're getting heated. Even though we know that she didn't do it, like, maliciously, she didn't say it. She thought it would be a compliment at most. Which, at the same time, why do you think that your admiration of us is complimentary? But whatever.
Exactly. No.
But, you know, I think for people who, you know, either, you know, are not Muslim, don't wear hijab, please understand that it's perfectly okay to think someone's beautiful, with or without the hijab. You know, but you can think someone's beautiful without trying to be it, without trying to take from it, without trying to apply it to yourself if it doesn't, if it's not part of your,
if it's not yours,
that's like, don't touch what's not yours. That's kind of it.
That's kind of it. And like, why I think like, I feel like some people listening to this might be like, well, I think you're like overthinking it, blah blah blah.
Oh, hell no.
Like, I think you're no.
And now, like, there's other aspects to this, because there are like communities that culturally they do wear the headscarf. It doesn't have to do with religion. Like, say, for example, I had a lot of like you know, like black coworkers or friends, because culturally, you know, there are black women who do head wraps for protective styles for their hair. Exactly. So when they, like, sometimes when I wear a turban, I had like an older black coworker be like, hey, how do you wrap that? I always like have struggles wrapping my head wrap, and I would just show it to her, no problem. Like, that is like, and for me, coming from I'm Ethiopian, so I also am black and Muslim, so it's like a little camaraderie thing, like, you know, something we can share because we have that connection in terms of culture and religion, whatever. Yeah. But, like, so there are exceptions, but when you're completely out of of it, I just think people should be cautious and should understand. Or even, like, it would have been so much better if in that conversation she said, is it okay for me, like, from your perspective? Or what
does it mean to you?
Yeah, what does it mean? Or, like, obviously one Muslim person can't say what is and isn't okay, like, you know what I mean? You should have a more of a... You should do your research and form opinions from multiple people, but she could have said, like, you know, this is something I'm considering, but is that appropriate? Yeah. Like, from your perspective, what it means to you and everything. Like, is that something that would be appropriate, or am I being ignorant in that? So, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people come from a place of admiration and a place of positivity, but at the same time, they have this bit of an ego, like, where it's like, oh, I'm going to show them how much I appreciate them, and they're going to be so thankful because people don't appreciate them, or there's so much hate against them. Yeah. But it's like, we're good. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I don't know. What my head went straight to is, like, because it's so, for me, it's so weird to remove the thing from what it means. Just because, like, hijab for me never, well, at least, it's only until recent that hijab kind of became fashionable. If you noticed, right? Yeah. Like, where it became Instagrammable and it became,
because with a lot of these, like, Muslim bloggers and, you know, YouTubers, whatever, content creators. Yeah. It's become so, like, in the public eye.
Yeah, in a way,
in a different light. Yeah, in a different light compared to what it used to be viewed, or it still is viewed as bad. Right. But I'm saying, like, it was a, not complimentary, but a contradictory image compared to, like, what the media portrays as hijabs and stuff like that. So,
yeah, exactly. So, like, for me, like, growing up, hijab was more than a headscarf in that, like, I associated it with different things, right? Yes. It's obviously linked to Islam directly, like, it, you know, it's what you wore to the mosque, like, you have certain memories and things that are tied to it. Yeah. So when you hear, and I'm just saying this because to give, like, context to anybody who's listening to this and, like, doesn't fully get it, it's because that it's so rooted in those things that, like, to see it removed out of context, or, like, to think about this, you know, certain person who's, like, viewing it as purely a fashionable item, it feels like it does feel, in a sense, disrespectful, though I think this person is coming from a very, like, innocent yet ignorant place a little bit. Doesn't realize that, like, should she wear it, and not that I'm, like, gonna outright go, no, you can't do this. Like, should she start wearing it, it's almost like, well, do you not understand, like, what it's linked to for me? Like, do you not understand that this is not easy? That's like, I don't wear this thinking this is, like, just the same as, like, if I were to do my hair differently. It's not the same thing. Like, do you understand that, like, when I go out in public wearing this, people view me with biases, with prejudices, that this comes with stuff. Yeah. And it's not, some of it's very, like, I would say negative or, like, burdening in a sense, but, like, it also implies things to people. Like, it's also a way that I can express my identity. Like, I wear the fact that I'm a Muslim on my sleeve because I know without wearing it, you could say anything. Like, I feel like I'm also racially ambiguous. So, like, you could just be like, I don't know what she is. Yeah. But like,
it's making something, like, it's a part of your identity, and it's making it very known what group, like, what community you're a part of. Yeah. And for the fact, like, for this woman, for example, if she decides to start wearing it, and
I don't feel like she understands.
She doesn't understand, because if something bad happens to her, like, God forbid, but if something happens to her based on people's biases, she could easily just take it off because she has no ties to it.
Correct. Exactly.
But we're not the same way. Even though there are, like, obviously people have gone through trauma and they have decided to take it off, and that's their own struggle and journey. Yeah. But that's a struggle, because internally you're like, you don't want to take it off. That's that's a part of who you are. So we go through, like, daily struggles every single day, and it's like, people really don't understand the depth to it. And also, like, our journey to wear the scarf, because as people know, we've talked about it on this podcast before, both of us we didn't start wearing the hijab until later on in our lives. Yeah, exactly. You started university, right? And I started in grade 8. And so, like, our journeys to even get to the point of putting the hijab on is a struggle in itself, because you're part of,
it's such a conscious decision,
and it gets broken down by a lot of things about like who, like, you know, what ethnicity you're part of, what like cultural group you're a part of, and then on top of that you're Muslim, so you know, the communities you grow up in are very like they put certain pressures on you. Like, I don't know about you, but like growing up in going to different like Islamic schools and stuff like that, people, you know, it's taught in school, like once you reach the age of maturity, basically meaning once you reach puberty, you know, that's it, hijab on, that's it, covered, blah blah blah. But like, also I grew up in like with families that, my family was very understanding, was very like, you know what, you put it on when you're ready to do it. And even like my dad for the longest time was like, you're not even like 15 yet, you can relax. Right. You know what I mean, stuff like that. And maybe that's not something that other people may not agree with. People may say like, no, once you're at the age, you're at the age. But me personally, if you don't understand why you're wearing something, what are you doing?
What are you doing? I'm kind of in the same mindset, and like I feel like I'm that mindset for Islam as a whole. Because like,
exactly, you really need to understand the religion. Why are you believing in something without understanding it? And that's like something that, sorry to cut you off,
that's okay,
but that's something that was very important to me, because a lot of Islamic schools as children didn't really teach you about like loving the religion. It was more like, this is right, this is wrong, and you know, you can't do this because you're Muslim, and you can do this because you're Muslim. And it's like, yes, that's very important, like especially with kids, right? You teach them right and wrong, like that's very important. But I think kids have the like capabilities of understanding way more than people think they can. And so it's so important for us to teach children young, like how to love whatever religion they're a part of, how to love it, and why do we love it, and why do we you know, subscribe to this rule of thought. Because if they grow, you know, once they hit puberty, they're still kids, you know. And so at that point, they're being expected to do all these things in the religion, but they don't understand why. You're gonna find that a lot of times they're not gonna do it, or they're gonna be forced to do it, and then they're gonna be miserable. And then you find, you know, kids that grow up and they don't believe in Islam at all, or like they say they're Muslim, but then they're struggling with following the belief, or they leave Islam altogether, which is really sad. So I like all these things that we're mentioning, like it's all part of the journey. It's all part of our everyday struggle to be like the best Muslims we can be. And so I guess in this position, it's like when you say things like that, it's like you don't understand anything.
The background that comes
all
with
the things we went through. You know,
man. It's just like I don't know, just two things that sprang to my head, like as you were saying that stuff. I saw this Instagram post that I think was like an illustration of like this hijab girl. Basically, it was like two lines that like rang true to me, and I feel like is what I learned from Sunday school more than anything of like the actual historical Islamic stuff. What I learned from Islamic school was to not inherit your religion, but to learn it, and which is so huge, right? Like I maybe that's a very liberal mindset, but for me, it's just like
that's great that you learned that from Islamic school.
Well, I think that's out of like, to be honest, like not great experiences, right? Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you learn things from seeing how someone is taught something or expects you to learn something versus like what I know actually works for me. And like I just think like I don't know, it's for me when you hear stuff like that, it's just like I think again, like she doesn't have the complete knowledge to know that's very dismissive. But also another thing that I kind of I thought about that it touched upon was like the fact that wearing a hijab, I do think is like an everyday conscious decision to make. And that it's like not that every day that I feel a certain way about wearing a scarf. Like I do fluctuate over the years of like having to wear a scarf. Ultimately, very proud that I made this decision because it wasn't easy. And I'm always happy to like unabashedly say I was born Muslim and I am Muslim. Like very happy to say
exactly.
That. But obviously like wearing a scarf can like, you know, in terms of like how I feel about myself or like how you just change how your opinion about the scarf like has always changed. And for me, like even the intent from when I first started to wearing it to now, I feel different about it as the years go by. So like it kind of dismisses this whole genuine struggle of like my fluctuating opinions about wearing it, that it can just all of a sudden be an accessory. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of reduced to like a little like something thrown over your shoulder, you know, like it's like a little necklace that you're gonna add to make your outfit look better. But it's like no, it really it encompasses so much more.
And I wonder if this like when people say stuff like that, because this isn't limited, when you fetishize something like this isn't limited to just the hijab. Like we've seen it, black culture is like always
all of black culture has been fetishized by not only white people, by a lot of different groups that aren't black.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it's, and you can do it, and I mean, I think something that's the most known is hair, especially women's hair, but like men's hair as well, but like women's hair especially, because there's so many beautiful ways to style black hair, no matter what your texture is, and so it fascinates people, which I understand, because it's so beautiful. It's so cool. But you have to have control. Okay, like, just because you like say for example, I saw, like, if you see a campfire, campfires are beautiful, but you're gonna reach out and touch a campfire? No, because you're gonna get burned. Okay, like, not that I'm saying campfires and hair is the same thing. I gotcha. Just saying that, but I'm just saying, like, there are certain things are common sense. You don't do something because it's not good for you. Yeah. Same way, like, if you even to ask someone if you can touch their hair, don't do it. Yeah. Okay, because you put them in an uncomfortable situation where it's like, I say yes and then like kind of like laugh it off, like haha, I don't care, or I say no and then it's like confrontational and we have this weird like vibe. Yeah. So just I feel like people just need to be more conscious of, you don't have to do a lot of research or even to know a lot of people to know what lines you shouldn't cross. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to talk to people and to understand, and I can get, like, say, just going back to your story, I can understand why her mindset went the way she did, because she just doesn't know. Like, you know what I mean? She doesn't know better, and so, like,
and I feel like, sorry,
no, go ahead.
Okay. I feel like, well, I'm just thinking through it now, I think the where she went wrong is like not being vulnerable enough. Like, I don't know about you, when people ask you about your scarf, period, like, if, like, why do you wear it, when did you start, bubble, all this stuff, like, even deep conversations, I find it very hard to have those conversations when they're not being inviting enough, or not being, like, ready to hear something they weren't expected, or like ready, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the problem with that, how that conversation went, like you mentioned earlier, she wasn't open to the fact of, like, it wasn't her going, I'm thinking about it, it was, I'm going to do this because it's like this for me.
It's like, I want to do it because I think it's gonna be so much, like, it's gonna do something positive for my life. And even though I'm not a part of your community, I'm still gonna do it.
So how do you engage conversation at that point and be like, it's like my 2 cents.
Because if you say, like, oh no, you can't do it, it's like, hold on, I didn't ask. She said I'm gonna do it.
Exactly.
And like, I completely understand that, and it's like, like, just going from my personal experience, because obviously everybody has their own lived experiences, and I feel like both of us, living as minorities, living as visible, like, Muslim women, I feel like we're taught really young to be conscious of other people and to be conscious of how we engage in different spaces, and a lot of people aren't taught that because they live with the privilege that they don't have to.
I know it's a big component.
So we're very conscious of it, but like, me, say for example in high school, like, you knew me in high school, obviously. I wore hijab in high school, and like, people were always so like, ooh, what's under there? Ooh, like, because they knew I wasn't South Asian, so they were like, okay. They knew I was Ethiopian, they knew I was black, so they were like, okay, you know, something's different under there. And like, when we had gym class and stuff and I was like changing, they'd be like, oh my god, your hair is so pretty. And like, when I was in high school, I honestly didn't really care. Like, it made me a little uncomfortable, but then it was for my friends, so I was like, they're not really doing it to be rude or anything. They just like it. So I was like, haha, yeah, cool, haha, yeah, my hair's like this, ha. And like, sometimes people would like be like, oh my god, can I touch it? And like, or even when I was wearing the hijab, because they've already seen my hair, they'd be like, oh my god, and they would like squeeze my bun from the back, like, haha, kind of stuff. And it was never like, and looking back at it now, I'm like, that was a problem. Like, I wish I said something, because like, it wasn't okay, but back then it's like,
you kind of are dismissive.
You kind of just like, haha, they're like, just my friends are being joked, like, and I don't even think they were being malicious about it, but still, it wasn't okay. And that's why, like, when I have cousins now who are in high school, like, I have a cousin who lives in Newmarket, which is a very white city. And so, like, when she's in school, she always tells me about what's going on, and I've been very clear to her since she was younger, like, even as young as like grade 7 and stuff. I'm like, listen, don't let these white people push you around, okay? Like, yes, you're very visibly different from everybody, and that's gonna cause conversation, and that's gonna, you know, all these things, like, And the story she's telling me sometimes, like, it's not only her classmates, sometimes it's the teachers, like, because all these people, they don't know, they don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she doesn't wear hijab right now, so her hair is, like, nice and curly, and which I love because, side note, because she used to straighten her hair a lot, because, again, she grew up with a lot of white people, and everybody, their hair is straight. So, so, like, that whole vision, of, like, that whole mindset of what's beautiful, and she used to straighten her hair a lot. But I've been, like, on her, I'm like, hey, listen, you can straighten if you want, but your natural hair is beautiful, too. So she's been going into the more, like, curly hair, afro, going to school and stuff. And she always tells me about people coming in up and just touching her hair whenever they want. These white kids coming up to her and just to get a reaction out of her, they'll say the N-word.
Oh.
Yes, no. I know, right? Thank you.
It's not funny.
And, yeah,
right?
Because they know she's very, like, no, don't do that.
Right.
So they'll always just come and be like, just say it and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, but at the same time, I'm like, we have to be understanding of her situation because she is the few out of the many. You know what I mean? And so, like, yes, she tries to speak up as much as she can.
Yeah.
But if everybody around you is a part of one community and you're the only person kind of like,
too,
and her age, you're young, right?
Yeah.
And high school is brutal now, especially with, like, all the social media. Even when we were in high school, it wasn't that bad. But, like, now it's really bad. So I always tell her, I'm like, talk to, like, your teachers and stuff like that. She's like, you know what? I try, but, like, some of these teachers are white, too. So, like...
Yeah, how can you... Exactly.
So it's just, like, things like this still exist.
Yeah.
And, like, even you bringing up the story today, like, you think that people who are older...
would know.
Or at least, like, not old, like, older, but, like... who have, grown up in our Toronto, in our, multicultural society, would know better at this point.
Yeah.
But they really don't.
Yeah.
And it's like every day is like, we're not here to teach you.
Yeah.
We're just here to be here, you know?
For me, it's, like, so hard. Like, I don't know if you feel this way, too, but, like, even in general conversations about faith, like...
Yeah.
Even, like, for me, it's hard to, like... So I'm sometimes... I think my immediate reaction when people bring up conversations like that with me, like, I don't initiate it whatsoever.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Like, my gut reaction is happy only because, especially with today's kind of climate, what we look like and what we wear and what we stand for, or, like, are born into, like, that comes with a lot of fear, or a lot people are scared to talk about certain topics around me all the time. And, like, a lot of contexts, like, a lot of people won't talk about certain topics because there's, like, they always assume it's touchy. So when they're so outright to talk about it, I'm happy because I'm like, yes, like, I should be approachable. I by no means want to start a fight with you.
Definitely. I would, like, and I've said this before, like, I've had coworkers, like, older white women that have, like, asked me questions about Islam, and I always preface saying, like, I am not the know-all. I don't know everything about the religion. I'm still learning myself. But, like, at the root, this is, like, what we believe in. This is and it's nice that people are asking questions rather than just assuming. Because then we create conversation. And you know what? And that's something they can, like, refer to in the future. Like, okay, I had this conversation with her, and I hope that they're still asking and still doing their own research. Because again, one person shouldn't be your source. Because everybody again has different lived experiences.
Huge community.
But like, still, at the end of the day, if you're gonna be asking questions, if you want to have a conversation, you should be cautious. Like, you should consider the fact that your words can hurt someone or can make someone uncomfortable. And so, like, I always think that a good way to approach things is like, hey, I don't know a lot about this, and I, like, I'm not assuming that you know everything, but I would like to ask some questions. If you're comfortable, let me know. You know, like, ask that first, because assuming someone will be able to give you the answer just because they're part of a group, not the way to go.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like maybe, Iman, we should just write a handbook on, like, how to approach someone.
Even then, like, we're only 2 people. So even our handbook may be different for someone else. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so you're not always gonna get it right. And that's okay, but you should intend to try to get it right. If someone tells you you're doing something wrong, listen to them.
I would listen.
Listen to them and then do more research.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Don't just be like, no, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't.
The worst thing is to get defensive.
If you get defensive, you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
To not learn anything.
Because then you're just causing an hostile environment, and then you're not getting anywhere. You know, you want to have open conversations where sometimes you're going to be wrong.
Right.
And that's
how it is.
That's how you learn, right?
I just, like, I don't know. Maybe moral of the story is, like, is to still stay curious, like still want to ask questions, or like if you do admire something, or if you do think something is interesting, or even if like say you're considering Islam on a more serious like state than just considering it to be fashion, like feel free to ask questions, but also be aware of the fact that like you're talking about one of the most sensitive topics. I feel like a lot of people feel that religion at its core is like almost taboo, just like because people know it's very close to their hearts, it's very personal. So know that that's what you're getting into, right? But also just like almost hear yourself, like that. I know that sounds like common sense.
No. I mean, like that whole thing, like think before you speak.
Yeah, just like do it. Just like consider what it is to like say what you're gonna say, and maybe like gauge a conversation. Well, like I feel like that's like very patronizing, but like just. I don't know. Maybe because I feel like this is like simple steps I do for myself, but just like really gauge and listen to a conversation and see if that person's even open to having it, right?
Exactly. Like if someone says they don't want to speak about it, it's not anything against you.
Yeah.
But maybe they just don't feel like they will give you the right answer, or they don't feel comfortable enough to open up to you. Because what if it's someone you don't even know that well? Yeah, exactly. Like it could be a coworker that you only know on surface level.
Yeah.
So to go deeper may be uncomfortable for someone. Yeah. It's okay for someone to say no to you. You say, okay, like I respect that you don't want to speak about it, and then try to find, or maybe even ask them where they can learn more. Like, hey, like if say for example for Razia, if I was speaking with her, I'm like, hey, I want to learn about this. You are a part of a community. You're a part of this community. So I thought maybe we could have a conversation.
Sure.
If she says no, I can say, okay, I respect that. Do you know of anywhere I could find out more? Yeah. You know, do you have any like verified sites or videos or anything I can look to, you know, inform myself, rather than just doing a Google search and not knowing if it's right or wrong, you know, like if it's not an actual verified like source. So you know, just, and you know, some people may think this is maybe listening and be like, this is too much, I'd rather just stay ignorant. If that's the case, like, do you, boo, but
also
don't.
Why are you listening?
Why are you listening? If you're listening to this podcast and you want to stay ignorant, you're not going to get that way if you listen to this podcast. Stay listening. That's good. But there's nothing wrong with being empathetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think being empathetic is a great trait for everybody to have. Have some empathy. Think about what others may be feeling. Just because you're not part of a group doesn't mean you can't have empathy for them.
Yeah.
So
you should.
You should have empathy for everybody.
Like
they're humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I guess we can close this off by just be conscious, be empathetic.
Yeah.
Still strive to have conversations. Yeah. But understand if someone doesn't want to have a conversation, it's okay. It's not that they don't want for you to be better. They don't want you to learn. It's because on their end, maybe they've had bad experiences with having conversations with people. You don't know what people have been through in their lives, just like they don't know what you've been through, you know?
Right.
So at the end of the day, let's try to have open conversations. Let's try to connect more, because we need that in this world. But I think we can wrap it up here. And
just actually two final things, like in the comments down below or wherever you want to reach us. Actually, if you feel the need to ask questions after this conversation or this episode, and you're like, wow, yeah, they're right. Like I tried to ask a question before, it didn't go well. And like there's the two of us, right? Like I think like if there's a question that doesn't even have to be about Islam necessarily, we both occupy very different identities. If you want to ask a question, feel free to. Like this is, we're being open books right now.
Yeah, definitely. Right? We're always open to speak, and obviously again, we do not know everything. So people out there, don't come at us because our viewpoints are a little different than yours, because we haven't experienced everything you've experienced. We don't know everything. Right. So we're also still learning in our own, you know, spheres. So please reach out to us if you have more to add to this. Like, we would love to open a discussion. So please. You know, DM us on Instagram, comment under the YouTube video, or on Apple Podcasts, or on SoundCloud, wherever you listen. Let's have a conversation, and we'll get back to you, because we love to do that.
This is a fun topic for us.
And this conversation, I feel like, is never ending. Yeah. So we can always speak about this. But anyways, at the end of the day, we hope that whether you can relate to this, or maybe it's something new for you, we hope that everybody got something good out of this conversation that we've just had. Right. And we're always here if you guys need any support or want to reach out. But other than that, we will talk to you guys on the next one.
All right, bye.